Hey everybody, so welcome to our peer panel. Thank you so much for attending. We're probably just going to go ahead and get started. But before we get started, I wanted to say that for those of you that ordered food, I'll also remind you at the end, but for those of you that ordered food, you should have received an email asking where you're going to pick up, where you want to pick up your food, and you should have replied. And we'll have that ready for you at the very end of the panel, and you can go ahead and pick that up once we dismiss everybody. But so we're going to go ahead and get started. And what we wanted to do was tell you guys a little bit about ourselves real quick. So the academic peer mentors live in the residence halls and apartments and help residents succeed academically. And what we also do is we connect students with programs and services as well as resources so to help them ultimately do well academically. So some of the services we provide are academic checkups and residential programs, and as well as like peer panels like what we're doing right now. So next we're gonna go to a couple of slides where we're gonna introduce each of our panelists. So panelists, when I get to your slide with your name on them, could you please give us a small introduction of yourself? So the first person we have is Marie.
Hey y'all, my name's Marie. As you can see on the slide, I'm a sophomore poultry science major. I'm from Hutto, Texas, and following graduation, I intend on going to vet school.
Okay, thank you so much, Marie. So next we have Evelyn.
Howdy, my name is Evelyn Wint. I am an aerospace engineering major, class of 2023. I'm from Houston, around the Woodlands, if you know where that is. It's North Houston. So after graduation, I plan on working in the hopefully either government or private sector of the space department or rocketry area.
Thank you so much. So next we have Daniel.
Howdy, I'm Daniel Green-Moore. I'm a nutrition major. I'm class of 2022. Whoop! And I am pre-med. I'm from Kaufman, Texas, which is southeast of Dallas. And yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, Daniel. So next we have Madeline.
Hi, my name's Madeline. I'm an accounting major, junior accounting major, and I'm from Dallas, Texas.
Whoop!
Thank you both so much. So next we have Ida.
Hi everyone, I'm Ida. I'm a junior chemical engineer from Katy, Texas. And I recently visited a shingles factory, you guys, as a chemical engineer. And let me tell you, it was actually pretty awesome. So I think I want to do shingles when I'm older. So that's a fun fact.
Okay, thank you so much. So we're about to get started with the set of questions that we'll have for the peer panel. So with each one, we're going to ask that each panelist, if they have something that they'd like to include, just to go ahead and speak. No need to ask or anything. So our very first question is, what were some personal factors you considered when choosing your major or career path?
I can start us off. So some of the personal factors I considered were location, as well as like how easy it is to get a job in that field. So I chose chemical engineering first and foremost because it was a really broad degree. I can go into just about any industry. And somebody once told me, like, I can do what a petroleum engineer can do, but they can't do what I do. So, with the way the oil industry works, if I were to work in the oil industry, they would, they'd fire a petroleum engineer first over a chemical engineer because we're more broad. So I kind of just thought about, like, where the job availability was, especially when you look at like, you guys think about the 2008 recession, we were like 8 years old, 10 years old when that stuff was happening. But I had to live through that. So I thought about like job availability and job security when I chose my major and career path.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
I believe I chose, I didn't start as a nutrition major. I started as a biochem major. I simply Googled why do I want to be a doctor, right? Like what major was going to take me to be a doctor? I chose biochemistry and I wanted to be a forensic pathologist at the time, thinking that was like what was going to be right for me. But I believe that like personal factors that ended up putting me into nutrition was what I like, what I enjoy, what I believe I'm going to enjoy learning about, and also something I can actually have a career in. Nutrition also has all the prereqs for medicine for pre-med schools. So that's also another reason why I simply switched into nutrition instead. But I think like personal factors, it's just really what you like, what you think you're going to enjoy, where you think you can grow, and what you think you're going to like not dread going to class for every day.
Yeah, treating your major as not an obligation is definitely something you need to consider when choosing.
I'll go next. So when I was considering where I wanted to go to college, I applied to a lot of other colleges as animal science because Texas A&M is the only college in Texas that offers poultry science. Something that really drew me to it is because one, it gives me all the prereqs for vet school, and also if I don't get into vet school, we have 100% job placement within the industry. The poultry industry is the fastest growing ag industry in the nation, and so it was kind of like if I don't get into vet school, I can get a job still. And it's definitely, once I've gotten into it, it's really interesting material. It's interesting to see, especially how rapidly it's growing because a lot of people are growing off of red meat in the country as a whole. So chickens and turkeys are needed.
Yeah, keeping your options open is a really good idea. Thank you so much. So did anybody else want to touch on this topic again before we moved on?
Yeah, so I picked business because I knew that I did not want to do anything science related or engineering related. So I picked business. It fits very well with my personality. And then I didn't choose accounting until my second year in the business school when taking my first accounting class. And it came natural to me. I really enjoyed it. I've always loved math. So that's why I went with accounting.
That's really cool. Thank you.
I can go ahead and go next.
Okay,
So
go ahead.
some personal factors for me is I've always known from a young age that engineering was for me. I loved math and I love science and I love to learn how things worked. I really chose aerospace probably in like elementary school and have stuck with it. It's kind of weird. I considered doing other things, like some other factors came in, like civil. I had an internship with civil engineering and I liked that, but it just felt wrong. So a big personal factor was really feeling comfortable in my major choice. Nothing else really felt comfortable or felt me. So, and then also living so close to NASA was absolutely amazing.
Oh, that's really cool. Thank you so much for sharing. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and move on to the next question. So what were some external factors you considered when choosing your major/career path?
Externally was, for me, job security, job availability, and then also the pay. It's unrealistic for you to believe that what you're going for is not going to affect how you like pay your bills and everything. So you want to make sure that you do have something that you feel like you are going to be happy with, that you're being accommodated for what you're actually putting out the work in. I also believe that like getting a job that that someone else can't necessarily do, or that you can't be replaced by it, or also that you go into something that is progressing, because we can't live in the past. We have to keep on living in the future, and like things are always going to keep progressing. Like in the medical field, people are always going to be sick, people are always going to die. There's going to be people that need help, right? Just like in business, businesses are always growing and always things like that. But then certain things in technology though, like if you go into certain things, there's like computers and different robots that can actually do those kind of new processes and such now faster than what a human can. So you want to make sure that like you're going into a job that like not everybody is able just to easily assess, but also that you are going to be able to maintain and stay in. That also pays well, or at least enough that you can do.
Yeah, awesome. Thinking ahead for your job security is a really good idea. Thank you.
Some external factors for me was definitely like when I was looking at colleges, I was kind of drawn to A&M and like considering going into political science because it's a really tiny department. So I'm getting a lot of like one-on-one help with like our program coordinators. And also the 100% job placement right out of college was really nice to see. I mean, I've seen my friends go graduate and are already working high up in companies because most of the major companies are run by Aggies. And we all know Aggies hire Aggies. So
Yeah, considering your connections that you'll be able to have is a really good idea as well. Thank you. Okay, did anybody
so
else want to?
Yeah,
Go
I
ahead.
have an answer. So one of the external factors that I considered when choosing my major, which was civil engineering, was also like the benefits that come with it. So not only the money, like, how much you're gonna make, because I want to be able to support my family and the lifestyle that I want to live, but the benefits too are really important because I do want to have a bigger family in the future.
Yeah, of course. Thank you so much for adding that. Okay, any last remarks before I move on?
Also lifestyle. So you want to make sure, like she was saying, like with lifestyle, you want to make sure that you have time that you're able to actually use. You don't want to be working around the clock all the time and like no time for yourself, or even the money that you make, you can't spend it because you're working so much. You want to make sure that you have that too in the job career that you choose.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for adding that. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and move on to the next question. How do your professional goals align with other students in your college or major?
I guess I can start. A lot of people, like not a lot of people, but there are a handful of us in my major that are kind of all on the same path to go to vet school. So we all support each other. I'm pretty sure right now I'm the youngest, being a sophomore. There aren't really any freshmen that have decided to go to vet school. So we all support each other, give each other like professor recommendations. But there's definitely, it's not like I'm the only one that wants to do that. There's definitely a lot of other people.
Yeah, thank you for adding that.
For me, like it's not the same. And even when I was in biochem, I knew a lot of people that were pre-med, but I also knew people that were wanting to do research. So not necessarily everybody's gonna like align in what you want to do. And then even now being in nutrition, a lot of people are going into being an actual registered dietitian. So not a lot of people are in nutrition or
Uh-oh, I think you cut out there. Do you think you can repeat your last
Oh,
sentence?
which part? My last sentence?
Yeah, your very last sentence.
Okay. Oh, it says my internet connection is unstable. I'm sorry. And I said a lot of people in nutrition actually don't necessarily that I've known and seen, they don't actually follow into going to be pre-med. A lot of them are just either like pre-PT or maybe even dentistry, but majority are doing registered dietitian. They want to be an RD.
Interesting. Thank you.
Warren, what about you? What's
I
your
think you're good now. Thank you.
yeah.
Me? Oh, so I should have said this at the beginning, but I'm a physics major, which you might imagine is a pretty specialized type of path that, I mean, you can do a lot with it, but you know, most people that go into being a physics major, you tend to have the intention to go to graduate school and pursue maybe research or maybe development or like maybe even teaching. But those are like the three main paths for physics majors. So my college or department tends to be more specialized, but I know that differs between departments.
So something that my professional goals differ with from the students that are also civil engineering majors is that I want to go to graduate school afterwards. I want to get a master's. And a lot of the civil engineers that I know aren't going to get a master's. They want to go straight into the industry. So that's something that's pretty different from my peers.
Okay, thank you for adding that.
I can add something to this as well. Okay, so aero is like 50-50 aeronautical and astronautical, so like airplanes versus rockets. So I'm with the 50% that like rockets. So I mean, technically that aligns with most students in the major because like I said, it's 50-50 in a small major. So most people also go to graduate school, especially on the astronautical side, to pursue research and really get those good jobs at like NASA, SpaceX. So that's where I plan on going is graduate school, hopefully at like MIT. That's like my big shot and a couple of my other friends as well.
Oh, wow. I was actually really close to being an major. But, all right. So did anybody else want to touch on this one before we moved on? All right, I'm going on to the next question. So have you taken any courses that sparked your interest in a particular branch of work?
I can start off. So, coming into A&M in the business school, I did not think I wanted to do accounting. Then it was my first accounting class that actually sparked my interest with accounting. And ever since I've taken an accounting class, they've always been my most favorite courses. I always like look forward to doing that homework versus other courseworks and homework. So definitely, yes, they have sparked my interest.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for adding that.
Definitely. So my main goal is to go to vet school, but last semester unfortunately got cut short. But I took a hatchery management class where we were able to raise chicks like from the hatch to we should have raised them to full grown, and that definitely sparked my interest. If I don't go to vet school, to definitely go into more the hatchery side of the poultry industry. So like dealing with like the eggs, the laying hens, and then so this semester I'm in a class that's like specifically on like the egg, taking the egg from the hen, processing and into the stores. It's definitely interesting to see everything that those eggs have to go through before they get on the shelves.
Yeah, thank you for adding that. Yeah, thank you for adding that. It's really
Marie,
neat.
can I ask you a question, Marie?
What's up?
Do you eat chicken?
I do.
Oh, okay. So that didn't like dishearten you?
No.
Okay, good. Okay. That's
Yeah,
good.
no, I still eat chicken. I actually got some eggs from our research farm when I left work.
Okay, thank you so much for adding that.
I can add something on. I haven't taken, because I don't take specialty courses until next semester and then my senior year, but I can say that okay, sorry, got distracted. I can just say this, like going into the chemical engineering classes, I kind of knew it was right for me and that I wanted to continue doing this for the rest of my life, because I'd sit in class and not be like, oh my God, like this is mind numbing. This is awful and terrible. I do not want to be here anymore. But instead, even when it was hard and even if I was like failing an exam or whatever, I was always trying to like improve myself and make my grades better and whatever. And I knew that like I was constantly trying to work to be better because I wanted to. And so I don't know, it just kind of kept me in chemical engineering.
That's really interesting. Thank you.
y'all have any questions out there for us or anything?
Sorry?
I was asking if like anybody had like any questions for us, like about like what we've said at all.
Oh, okay, okay. All right, well, I guess if there aren't any questions and if nobody else wants to talk about this particular question, we can go ahead and move on to the next one. Oops, sorry. Why isn't this? Oops, sorry. So what are some resources you use to help decide on a professional pursuit?
I can
So
definitely.
for me, some resources that I've used to help me is that my first semester of sophomore year, I started looking into undergraduate research opportunities. And so actually, and I've been doing that since the beginning of my sophomore year, was my research job, and it's helped me decide on a lot what I want to do with my civil engineering degree and what I'm really passionate about. So that's been a really useful resource. And the professor that I work under, whenever I have any questions about like internships that I go for or anything any advice that I need, she's always there. And that's a really great connection to have. So that's something that's definitely been really, really beneficial to me over the past year and a half.
Yeah, I can second that. I also do undergraduate research for a professor in the chemical engineering department. But when I was trying to choose between different internship offers, I actually came to him and he gave me some really great advice on what it's actually like to be like an engineer in industry or in like be out in the real world being an adult. And so just looking to like the people who have more experience than you, if you will, is also really important. And if you do, you don't have to do undergraduate research, but if you can connect with the professor, you also get their resources. And if they have a lot of resources, whether it be in grad school or in industry, a lot of connections, that's also really good.
Yeah, because I mean, just as, like a first year, second year, even third year engineer, you don't really have that many connections. And usually you won't get an internship until your junior year unless you work really hard or know people. So yeah, I definitely think that's a really, really great thing to have.
I completely relate to that too, because I do some research of my own that I don't know how to shut up about. But it's really neat being able to see what people way further down the path of my particular career choice of what they're doing and being able to work with them on their own, what they do day to day. It's really nice having that perspective and
Emily,
more clear vision of what
y'all have an
we'll probably be
attendance
doing
plan?
eventually.
Yeah,
I have no idea. Asked Warren and
I
he
can-
had no idea. I was like,
Oh,
what?
that's bad because it should
I'm
know.
sorry.
But Mensa is supposed to.
Mensa?
Yeah. I asked her today, like at 2 p.m. Yeah. I'm checking the attendance in Teams right now.
Hey, Christian, hey, we can hear
I don't
everything.
know. I sent her another message.
Yeah, someone's
Hold on,
mic
hold
is
on, hold on.
unmuted.
I'm sorry.
Christian, you mute yourself.
Christian. I'm so sorry about that.
Okay, something I can add on to this question is something interesting with so many industry people have come out of Texas A&M in the department. So a lot of them will come back and just like before COVID, when they would just come back and we would have like lunches and something cool. I'm part of the Aggie Leadership Council within the department. And so every month we have like a luncheon with an industry personnel, and it's a good way to make a connection to someone in the like the poultry industry in the side that like I want to go into. Like last month we had a guest speaker of a poultry vet, and so I was able to ask her questions, and now I have like someone that I can email if I have questions about like what the next step is. So make connections in your industry or with professors. I think that's kind of the gist of what everyone said so far.
Yeah, of course, and always attend those outreach events. Thank you so much for having that.
Also, try to even find a professional organization that involves your major or like the path that you want to go on. For me, I'm in an organization called MAPS, Minority Association of Free Health Students, and we get to talk to doctors We either talk to nurses, PAs, admissions boards for all the medical schools in Texas, even some that are even out of state. And they come and they speak to us and they tell us like what we need to do, what we need to do to get here, where we need to go, who we should talk to, and even their contacts. And so then like they're saying, making yourself known and networking like that with the people who you want to be involved with are gonna definitely like they're gonna remember you, and they're gonna also like be able to give you good advice. So take heed to that.
Same. I'm in a co-ed business fraternity, and we have professional speakers come and talk to us about their industry and their jobs that they do on a day-to-day basis. So those are definitely resources that we get to use too.
Yeah, thank you both so much for contributing to this question. So,
I can add something onto that as well. So I definitely am, definitely backing you guys up. Definitely get involved in undergraduate research if you can. And then also those extracurriculars are fantastic. So not only the ones where you get to meet with people that are like professionals in your industry, but students as well. I'm on the Sounding Rocketry team as well as NASA Suits here at A&M, and they're mostly student-run organizations. And it's really, really helpful to have upperclassmen, like juniors and seniors, going into the workforce, as well as taking the courses that you'll be taking. It's really great to be able to go and talk to them and ask questions and get study guides and tutors. And it's just fantastic to know people who are, like I said, upperclassmen in your major, as well as, outreaching with professors and professionals in your industry.
of course, thank you for adding that. So, did anybody else want to add on to this question real quick before I move on? All right, so for question 6, we have you used or do you plan to use the Aggie Network to aid you in finding work?
Yeah, so I'm going through recruiting right now with the big 4 accounting firms, and all the recruiters not necessarily have gone to A&M, but they know people that work with their company that have gone to A&M, and so they've been putting me in contact with them, and then I'll have a Zoom call with them to hear about their experience, and they know how they went through the same process that I'm going through specific to A&M, so they have advice on how to get through that. So I'm definitely using the Aggie Network.
I can add to that. I actually had an interview with a company a couple weeks ago, and they paired me. The interviewer was an Aggie, and I was talking about my research or whatever, and we started bonding because she was also a chemical engineer over the same professors we had, and so like we just like formed this like instant connection. That was pretty cool. So that's how I use the Aggie Network.
That's so cool. Thank you for sharing.
I definitely will say like the Aggie Network is strong within most industries, and so being able to use it and have that, make sure that you are known and have a good reputation at A&M, because a lot of industries, especially like I really love the ag industry, and so like the agriculture industry, so I knew I kind of needed to go to A&M because being one of the top 10, I think it's one of the top 10 ag schools in the nation, it definitely gives someone seeing that you went to A&M puts a different opinion on you than if you went somewhere else, and you're more likely to connect to someone within the company.
Yeah, of course. Thank you.
From what I understand, also get that ring. Get the ring. A lot of people say that they put their rings on for interviews for when they're going out somewhere, and you just never know like what it may bring to you, where someone may notice it, where someone may be able to bump into you and say, hey, like, what class are you? What year did you go? And that instantly can be another connection, just as you were just saying. I've heard countless stories about it. My girlfriend and I were in Cancun, and I met an Aggie doctor who just happened to be, doing the same thing, and just noticed that like we were wearing A&M apparel and everything. I'm gonna get my ring next semester, and I just know like just doing those little things, making those connections like that are definitely gonna help you out. So you never know where you'll find an Aggie. We were literally, like I said, like in another country, and someone went to A&M, you know? So don't be afraid. Make sure you talk, make sure you get out there and utilize it, because it's not always about what you know, it is who you know, especially here at A&M.
That's really cool. Thank you for adding on to that. And congratulations on getting your ring really soon. All right. So did anybody else want to touch on this real quick before we moved on? Okay, moving on. So, sorry. Have you sought advice from a professional in the field in which you are interested in?
I can start this one off. Oh, Emily, were you going to talk? My bad.
Yeah. Oh, no, you're good. Okay. So,
This
I'm
is
disappearing. It's fine. In deciding to actually be a chemical engineer and like what field I wanted to work in, I actually consulted her mother, Emily's mother, because Emily's mom is an engineer. And before I thought I wanted to go to medical, well, okay, I didn't really care what I wanted to do. I was just kind of doing whatever. And my mom wanted me to be a doctor. So I said, okay, I'll be a doctor. And I didn't really have any love for it or any passion. And so when I was speaking to Emily's mother, she, who is a true engineer, has been in the engineering field for like 30 years. She was the one who actually gave me the advice to like look more into chemical engineering and look more into like the specific fields and stuff.
All right, thank you.
Go for it, Marie. Go for it.
Okay. Definitely once my interest got sparked in like the kind of the hatchery side of it, I was able to get connected with one of our professors within the department, and he's kind of like starting to advise me on the correct path to go there. Because he actually, most of our professors in the department worked in the industry before they came back and taught. So he's kind of been able to get me connected to some of the people that he used to work with that are now doing like major groundbreaking research within the kind of hatchery side of things.
That's really neat. Thank you.
I wouldn't say that mine is necessarily like professional. Like mine is a mentor. I actually just met one of my mentors yesterday. She's an M3 at A&M's medical school, and like she's going to be a surgeon. But any other outside of that, like if you can get in contact with like someone that is professional, I think that it is 10 times out of 10 like very, very helpful, just depending on what you want to do, especially if like you know, like you're an engineer or even in business, like, you know, someone who does those things, they can teach you like very, very well, like how they got there and what they did. Whereas like for, if you're going to like a graduate school or you're going to a professional school, it's not as easy because they did that maybe so long ago and things have definitely changed. But you can always try to look up to someone who's like an upperclassman or someone who's actually in the process that you're trying to go to, and like they can give you the advice and like they can tell you like what exactly is like needed, required, and that can help you get there. For my organization, we do have a medical advisor who, well, she's not a medical advisor, but she's a medical school advisor, and she just kind of helps us with admissions of like how to get there and like what we need to do to in order to get into not only A&M's medical school but any medical school really. So seeking advice from someone who has that knowledge is very, very helpful. Don't be shy. Just like you just have to look. And if you go on campus, we have multiple advisors who know how to get into certain schools. Like we have a pre-med advisor, and there's other professional schools that they also have advisors for as well. That's in the, it's right across the MSC. What's the name of that building? Starts with a K. Coldest, yeah.
Coldest.
That's right, yeah. In Coldest on the second floor, they have a lot of help. I've actually went and met with a few of them. They can help with your resume and they can help you get right.
Okay, so I've definitely sought advice from professionals in the engineering field. As Ida mentioned, my mom is an engineer, so that's definitely a really big step up. And I'm really thankful to have her there, because anytime I just have any type of question, I can just call her. So that's really, really great. I'm really appreciative for her. But I'm independent and I like to do things on my own. So I really try to go out on my own, and I go to the career fair and I go talk to other people, and I form connections on my own, but also because she is there, and I think it would just be stupid to not use her as a connection too. I've been with her to her office before, and I talked to the engineers that she works with. And I remember whenever I was coming into A&M as a freshman, I had gone with her to her office, and I had talked to a lot of the professionals that she worked with. And I came in with a bunch of questions, and some of them were Aggies too, so it was really cool. And I asked them things about, like, what do you put on a resume? What are the best things to highlight? What do you recommend? And so that was really nice to just hear things from so many different people. And then anytime that I get in contact with anyone who I know has had any experience in the engineering fields, I always ask them to, like, what's something that I can do? How can I get involved? And one of the biggest answers that I've gotten is that, I know you've mentioned quite a few times, Daniel, is that connections are everything. So just like a lot of you guys have said, wearing your Aggie ring and just talking to people and getting involved in professional organizations and things like that. It's really important to talk to everyone and keep as many doors as possible open, because that's the biggest thing that you can do anywhere, is to just talk to as many people that you can, let them know that you're interested, and never close an open door. So that's some of the best advice that I've gotten, and it's definitely been really useful.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing. Okay, did anybody else want to chime in real quick before we move on? All right, okay, I'm going to move on to the next question. So what kind of experience did you have in your field, and how did you attain it?
Okay, I'm a student worker in the business school. I do accounting for the marketing department. And so that's my experience. I just saw the job on Jobs for Aggies, and I interviewed, and they hired me. So the process was just, I didn't know anybody in there beforehand or anything, but it's really helped me see what um, the real world accounting is versus just sitting in class. And it's helped me, it's proven to myself that, like, what I am learning in class does benefit and carry over to what I will be doing.
Thank you so much for sharing.
Okay, so some experience that I've had in my field. So I know that I mentioned that I had a research opportunity. So I first heard about research from a bunch of, like, they have a bunch of engineering things that you can attend and speakers that you can go and listen to. So I was attending one of those things. I don't really remember which one it was called, but it was second semester of freshman year, I think. And the professor that I'm doing research with now was one of the professors that had spoken. And she spoke about water resources, which is what I want to specialize in with my master's. And whenever she spoke, I was so interested in what she was saying. And I had heard about undergraduate research before because I had a friend that did it, and he was a junior at the time that I was a freshman. So I looked into her, and I saw that she had a research group. And so then I reached out to her through email, and I told her my name and my major and what my interests were. And I asked if we could set up a meeting, and she said yes. So whenever I had my meeting with her, before I did a lot of, like, prior preparation. I looked up some of the papers that she had written and read a lot into it. And I did as much research as I could about the research group and what they did, so that I came in knowing what was going on and having things that I could talk about, so I could show her and prove to her that I was interested, because I knew that being a second semester freshman in a research group is a really hard position to obtain. So whenever I had my meeting with her, she actually told me that I was too young to be in the research group. But after talking through the meeting, I think our meeting was like an hour long. she said that since I seemed so interested about what she was doing and about everything that the research group was doing, she was willing to give me a chance. So the first few months that I worked with her, she didn't pay me, but that's okay, because I was just doing like little tasks, but it was kind of like a way for her to gauge if I was actually interested, if I was good at doing what I was doing. And then I suddenly got brought into the research group and I started getting paid and doing a lot bigger work. And so I've actually made a lot of advances in the work that I've been doing. And it's taught me a lot of stuff that not just my classes could have taught me. So that was really, really amazing experience. And that experience that I got from being in that research group so early gave me things to put on my resume and more connections so that I could take that to the career fair, which is where I got my internship over the past summer. So I was really blessed to have that, especially with COVID, because that was a crazy situation. And I know like a lot of people didn't have the chance to get that. But yeah, I talked at the career fair and that's how I got my internship. So yeah, it was just all that stuff together is just really good experience. And just to, make connections and talk to as many people that you can, and just make sure that you do your research before. And then just, even if you're not super interested, just showing interest and like really putting yourself out there can make all the difference in the world.
That's really cool. I actually had a very similar experience like the second semester of my freshman year. I reached out to some professors and looking for the research that I'm doing now. And that was like the number one advice that I received was make sure you do your research on the research group before really getting in contact and having that first meeting. But thank you so much for sharing.
Hey, can anyone hear me?
I can hear you.
Oh, yeah. Okay, thanks. All right. I don't know what happened, but it seems that I fixed it. Awesome. Okay, so I guess I can talk about some of my experience. So the summer before college, I applied to a couple things. Like I mentioned, the sounding rocketry team and NASA suits. I just sent out my applications to pretty much all of the extracurriculars in aero, as well as like mechanical, because I was interested in mechanical as well, but mainly aero. And I only heard back from one, which is SRT, and I've been doing that since freshman year. And I mean, the biggest advice I can really come up with is, like it's already been stated, but definitely put yourself out there. I mean, it never hurts to throw your hat in the ring. 'Cause I've applied for so much more after my freshman year. I'm a sophomore now, and I've gotten a lot more things. I've gotten a couple of internships, and I've gotten on NASA suits now, and I'm also with the NASA Academy, which it's amazing. I mean, you really just gotta do your research on what you want to do. And the biggest issue I had was getting rejected. I mean, you'll get rejected over and over again and it'll hurt, but you can't let it get you down because, after I applied for about 200 different things, I got 2 responses back. I mean, the more you apply for, the bigger your chances are. And definitely starting from either going into your freshman year or freshman to sophomore, that's like prime time to really start getting into your major and really starting to do what you want.
It's true. Putting yourself out there is really good idea in the beginning of your academic career. And it's also good to keep in mind that like the worst thing that can happen is that they'll just tell you that you're not ready. But thank you so much for sharing.
Okay, so I can kind of talk about the experience I have in like the chemical engineering field. Like Emily, I also put the professor I worked for, I emailed probably like 10 professors and was like, hey, I love your research. I'm interested in doing research. Do you have a position open? And it was just by showing up and just constantly putting myself out there, and also being very, very enthusiastic that I was able to get hired and I was able to like work through the summer and, and I'm still working. And then for my internship at the career fair, I think it's really important to try to stand out, but not stand out in like your accomplishments, because I feel like there's so many people in the world. I'm sure everyone's done almost probably the exact same thing as you. I think the thing that makes you stand out is your knowledge on the company and how enthusiastic you are and how sure you are of what you want. And so whenever the way I got my internship was one of the questions he had asked me was why chemical engineering? Why are you so sure you want to do chemical engineering? And I went to this whole story about how I walk into my classes and I feel at home and everything like just makes sense and makes the world go round. And that's true. I mean, I'm not really conveying it now because I'm tired, but just by putting myself out there, showing up, putting myself out there, showing that I was really enthusiastic and I had a lot of knowledge on the company, I had a lot of knowledge on the position I was applying for. And I always ask really, really, really good questions, because always think about, like, they're not only interviewing you, you're also interviewing them to see if you're also a good fit, and that if that's a company you want to like actually work for. So basically how I attained my experience was being enthusiastic, asking really great questions, and being very knowledgeable, and always putting yourself out there. That is like the number one thing we could tell you, is always, always, always put yourself out there. Because Warren's right. The worst thing they could tell you is no. Like, no one's going to punch you in the face and spit on you because they think you're bad for the position. Like,
Okay, that's really good advice. Thank you so much for sharing.
Tailing on from Emily and Evelyn, first from Evelyn, like she was saying, just make sure that, oh man, I lost it. I lost my thought with that one. Oh goodness. Well, tagging on from what Emily was just saying, like she was saying, the worst thing they can do is say no. Also, yeah, like from Evelyn, the worst thing the worst thing that can happen is being rejected, but like learning how to take an L, learning how to lose is very important. Coming to college was like something that I had to learn how to lose and I had to learn how to fail, like in order to succeed. And now I've been very successful ever since I learned how to be able to take something and keep going. And the more chances that you do have, if you apply to so many different things, you have more opportunities to succeed because of how many you put out there, right? But I'm a pharmacy tech at Butyl at Student Health Services. I actually obtained that job just from, I'm a certified pharmacy tech, but I got that in high school, and my girlfriend was sick, and I went to her doctor's appointment one day and at Butyl, and I waited, and I just happened just to ask the pharmacist, hey, do you have any positions open for next semester? If you do, like, what can I do to be here? And like Emily is saying, optimism, like showing that you care, showing that you have a smile on your face, that you know something about it, is going to really take you a long way in every position that you do. My famous line is like, a closed mouth doesn't get fed. So if you don't ask, you'll never know. But like you're saying, the worst answer you can get is no. Like, no one's going to hurt you, no one's going to damage you or anything like that. And a lot of times maybe they do think like, oh, they don't have enough experience, or oh, they're too young. But if you show that you want it, that you are hungry for it, that you want to go get it, they will definitely do that. So simply all I did was, I didn't think he was even gonna remember me, hire me, or anything. You know, he's the pharmacist of A&M. He has lots of prescriptions to fill and lots of responsibility under that position. So it was a rainy day, and it's in the end of the semester, our freshman year. And I asked him, and he says, yeah, just send me your resume. And I had to go home and make a resume, made a resume. And then over the summer, they emailed me back, and I was not expecting it at all. And they said, hey, like, we remembered you. Would you still like the position? Would you like an interview? And simply, I got an interview my first day I moved into my apartment. Moved in early and got the position for a pharmacy tech. And now I've been there for a year. And that is something that I have as an experience and something in the medical field.
That is so cool. Thank you for sharing, Daniel. Something else that your personal anecdote kind of reminded me of was, I actually just completed a program on rebounding, and one of the main focuses of that program was having a growth mindset instead of a fixed mindset, which I know you've probably heard it before, but it's really important having the right attitude and realizing there's always room to fall over, get back up, and get better, and learn how to fail better next time and do better next time, and that nothing is ever fixed.
So I think I'm the last one that has to talk on this question. An experience I have, I'm a student worker for Texas A&M AgriLife. I work mainly on the wing banding side of it. I actually just got home from one. What we do is we take the chicks from the hatchery, put bands on them, and distribute them to kids to go to stock shows. But we also help put on all the major stock shows, so like Rodeo Austin, Rodeo Houston, San Antonio Livestock Show, and Rodeo. So those are definitely big parts of the poultry industry as a whole. Kind of getting more out there, letting people know like, hey, this is a thing. And through my job with AgriLife, I've gotten to meet some of the people that run those shows. And a lot of those people that run those shows are some really big people, like within companies like Tyson, Pilgrim. People that you buy your chicken from are the people running these shows. So definitely, even if a job seems unconventional, if it's a job, it'll give you money and it potentially will give you those connections.
Of course. Thank you for sharing. All right, we've got some really good discussion from this one, but did anybody else want to add on real quick before we moved on?
Follow your dream. That's like really important. I see a lot of people that I know that they come here and then like they let the university fold them. You came here to obtain something. You came here to be somebody and do something that you plan to be. Don't let anything stop and get in the way of that. So if you fail a class, you have to drop a class, or something's not going the way that you think it is. Don't lose sight of that. Like it's about the mentality that you have behind it. So keep pushing, keep going, keep growing, talk to people, and make sure that you are going after what you originally planned or what your heart desires, because you don't want to be stuck with something that you are unhappy with. And whether that's a degree that you don't like, or whether that's a career or a job that you don't like and you're unsatisfied, that leads into an unhappy life and a faster death. That's kind of morbid, but I promise, like, follow your dreams. Follow your dreams. Don't do what anybody else says outside of you of like what your heart is telling you. If your heart is telling you, hey, I want to be a civil engineer. Hey, I want to be a vet. Hey, I want to be, I don't know, like, a gastroenterologist, like anything. If you want to do any of those things, go to be that thing. If you want to be an aerospace engineer, like that is what you want. That's what you want to do. Don't let anything, even a class, a professor, sway you from that. Don't let anything get in the way of that, because that is very important. You weren't made for the school. Like the school wasn't made for you. You were made for the school. I'm lying. It's actually backwards. You were made for the school. The school wasn't made for you. I think that's how I want to say it. But don't let this university fold you.
Thank you so much for adding that, Daniel. That was amazing advice to add at the very end here. So
if I can add something else on to Daniel's statement, that was really awesome. And I mean, if it was easy, everyone would be doing it. I mean, your dreams are your dreams and yours alone. Don't let anyone ever sway you, or any counselors or, like you said, professors tell you. From personal experience, I didn't do well on my SAT in high school. I did actually really bad. And my academic counselor told me I wasn't fit for my major and I wasn't fit to go to college. And here I am doing exactly what I love, and I'm on a track to graduate on time and get a really good job. So don't let anybody in any position tell you that you can't do it. You might stumble and you might trip, but I mean, you got to have that determination to get back up. And definitely, use your friends. No, don't use them. Sorry, that came out wrong. Rely on your friends. Rely on people who support you. If they don't support you, if they doubt you, they're probably not the best people to be hanging around with. You need to
Cut 'em
surround
off.
yourself by people who are better than you and who will push you to succeed. So any toxicity, get that out of your life. You do not need that. It's college, so it's time to live.
That's very awesome. Thank you so much
Yet
for
again,
sharing that.
adding to that real quick, someone told me college are the only years you can be selfish. This is all for you. These 4 years, these 5 years, this is all about you. So don't mess it up, because when you get out of here, then like adulting really happens. You gotta start getting bills for real. There's like real stuff, just like real problems really happen, So enjoy what you have now. So determine what you want.
Of course. Thank you both so much for adding on to that. And Evelyn, I'm so happy to hear that you're doing so much better now. It's a very nice personal anecdote to add. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and go on to the next question. This is our very last question. So this is your last opportunity to share as much advice as you'd like. So where do you see yourself in 5 years?
So for me, in 5 years, what I really want to be doing is, honestly, I'm not passionate about going and working a 9-to-5 desk job. That's not something that I want to do. So that's one of the reasons that I'm going to graduate school, because I was talking to my professor about that. And I want to do more with my degree and with helping people. That's what I'm really passionate about, is making a change, no matter how small it is, because I know it's not realistic to go and like make a huge change. Yeah, like solve world problem, like these huge ones. I mean, I get that. So, but just, I mean, even something small, that's something I just love to see, is to go out and like use what I have and what I was given in the world, like the ability to go to college and to have these wonderful opportunities. Like I want to, since all of this was made just available to me, I want to go and take that somewhere where people don't have the amazing opportunities that I did. So what I want to do is I really want to go work in third world countries. And like I said, because I do want to do water resources, I want to go help those. I mean, even in my community here, even in, I know there are places in the United States that don't have as wonderful access to clean water. So I really want to go and do something with my degree and help people get better access to clean water and better accessibility to water, because I mean, water is something that sustains life. And so even if it's just a small community, that to me is just so invaluable. And that's an experience that I want to have for the first few years after I get out of school, is just go and travel and just do that and put all of my passion, all of my knowledge, all of my focus into those things for the first few years of me being out of school.
Yeah, of course. And thank you for sharing your motivation. That's a really important part of it too.
I can go ahead and go next. Also, so I kind of wanted to touch on something that had to do with question 8 as well. I forgot to talk about it. So there's a thing called imposter syndrome. That's not widely talked about, but it feels like you're out of place. Like you shouldn't be here and everyone else is smarter than you. And I've dealt with that my entire freshman year and even now. Don't let that get you down either. You know, you've got this, and imposter syndrome is the worst. You know, it's like this little voice in the back of your head that when you're presenting or listening and you're learning and it's like, ooh, you shouldn't be here. You know, you're not smart enough or good enough. You know, throw that out the window. Y'all got this too. So where I hope to see myself in 5 years is definitely getting a master's degree in aerospace. My main goal, it's a little bit past 5 years, is to be an astronaut. It's a really far reach, but I'm definitely trying to work towards that for sure. I'm trying to do as much as I can. So yeah, that's where I hope to see myself in the far future. But in 5 years, I would love to be working, like I mentioned before, in maybe more of a civilian sector of aerospace, building rockets, or even helping people on the ISS or in space currently.
That's really neat. Thank you so much for sharing that.
In 5 years, I see myself as an M4 in medical school and choosing my residency as to like what doctor I want to be and like what program I want to go into. Natalie, what about you?
Hopefully working for one of the big 4 accounting firms.
In 5 years, I hope to have a job. I would love to rant about job stability and availability, but in this economy, hoping I have a job. But I'm also hoping that I wake up every single day and I'm excited to go to my job and I'm excited to see my coworkers and I'm just happy.
Of course, fulfillment is very important. Thank you for bringing that up.
Okay, so I'll go. In 5 years, I hope to either be finishing up vet school, and starting to get like experience working and getting a job, or I hope to have already been working in the industry for a while, hopefully making some changes to making the changes that need to be done. It's a constantly changing industry. I agree with what other people have said. I want to be able to wake up, be happy to go to my job. I saw my mom really not happy in a job for so many years. And I really don't want that ever to happen. I want to be able to go, be happy, love my coworkers, love my job, and really be passionate about what I do. I know that's like everyone's goal in life, but and it sounds so corny to say, but I really hope everyone can do it. But I really hope to be able to go and do something I'm passionate about and help an industry that's already given me so much.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing that. So does anybody else want to add on with this last question? You can also talk about anything else that came to mind before we wrap up this peer panel. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and conclude the peer panel. And we wanted to leave you guys with a couple of resources before we completely end it. So the main thing that pertains to this particular subject that we wanted to provide you with was a link to the Career Center. We have that QR code right there, where you can take some self-assessments and find resources on resumes, interviewing, and career guides. And you can also download the annual career guide as well as discover new networking options. And more broadly, you can also check out, our programs and services. Well, not ours, but like some that are more available to you. We have the community learning centers, which have open access computer labs and printing and the resource library, and they allow you to build your individual and group study skills. We also have the Academic Success Center this year through Zoom, and they help you with introductory and upper level courses through tutoring and SI sessions. And we also have our very last peer panel of this semester, which is our finals prep peer panel, which we'll be hanging up flyers for those pretty soon. And we have an academic peer mentor job informational happening on November 5th at 6 p.m. Please keep a lookout for those flyers as well. Those should already be up. But next we have a quick couple of links, a little bit about us and how you can stay in touch with us. We have our QR code for if you'd ever like to sign up for an academic checkup. We also have office hours from 12 to 10 p.m. Sunday through Thursday. And these happen in Hullabaloo 125 or Commons 102. And we also have our Zoom link right there. And please follow us on Instagram if you are interested in keeping in touch with what we do. So I'm going to stop recording real quick so I can give you some information on